You're taking a bath, dude. There's nothing you can do about it. You want to take a bath right now, Hazel? Oh, yeah. Bath time, baby. Yeah, yeah, yeah. She gets so pissed. All right, let's see what we can do. See if we can channel some new energy. She's so funny. Hazel, I love you. Are you so cute? Are you my baby? Are you my baby? You're so cute. Hazel, I'm gonna eat your toy. Toy's taking a bath. Toil domination. Okay, so the first, I heard a couple words when I started. I heard open-minded, and then I heard jurisdiction, which is a weird one to add to it, but just to start that, I mean, I think that jurisdiction would be probably for some of you guys, you could be on probation, or you could just even be on probation with your wife's or husband's. Like, jurisdiction just basically means within a certain miles radius to me. So some of you guys need to be more open-minded with the options or possibilities that you have within your jurisdiction. Some of you guys could be restrained to a smaller miles radius, and that's just how that goes when you're in a relationship. Things are a little bit more limited when you add more people to your life. So some of you guys have some people in your life that could be either monitoring you in a love-like setting or a legal-like setting. Some of you guys have to stay within a certain jurisdiction because maybe you have children with another person, but you're trying to just figure out how to be more open-minded with the circumstances that you have going on. I see. Antiseptics is the second time that one's come out. So some of you guys need to go to a doctor's appointment. You could actually have something wrong with you that you need like medication for or some kind of medicine for. And you'll want to make sure that you get this done because some of you guys you may have some tickets or some kind of trip planned coming up. I see the Seahawks champions game here. And so if you were not to maybe go to the doctor now, it could affect a trip later. Maybe already some of you had to cancel a trip because of a sickness and you weren't able to get a refund. Some of you guys are a little bit moody because of these illnesses, and some people don't really know what's going on with you. That was delightful. Okay. So let's see. Good morning, you guys. I love you. We'll go upstairs and we're going to finish the garden today. Patience. Yeah. You finding yourself in a situation or a dynamic that feels unfair. You definitely have some jurisdiction issues here. Somebody's being possessive of you. So I'm going to write that down. Possessive. Some of you guys could be dealing with the possessive. I don't know. That came up earlier in a read too. Somebody that was just dealing with a DV type situation. Possess. Anyway. All right. Yeah, it says, don't lash out against this person impulsively because they're going to do something even worse if you do that. It says you don't need to be loud or boisterous to achieve your goals. You need to maintain your composure. We did a little card yesterday on that. It said somebody keeps coming up to you very emotionally unstable. Okay, we're starting fights with you. And the card says to tell them that whenever you're in a situation like that you need to be firm and calm, and you need to tell them, I am not going to tolerate this behavior from you. When you can talk to me calmly, we can continue this conversation. And that's what you need to do. You need to express your feelings. You have the freedom of truth here. This person keeps you on lockdown. And they're abusive. What it's saying though, but for your own safety, for some of you, don't react to this person. This person seems very unstable. Very unstable. And you're here for a big purpose, it says right here on that one. It's saying to go for like your leaders, your inspirations. You have the Magician here. So I feel like if you were to just stay calm and keep an eye out, like if you guys need help with that, getting out of those houses, just Google, hey, resources near me, resources for DV near me, resources for housing near me. You just put that right in your search bar and it's going to narrow it down to the closest ones to you. Those ladies are so sweet. If you guys go to nonprofit organizations rather than CPS, you got to be careful, because I know how it is, especially when you're in a relationship and you're like trying to get out and fucking keep your guys' shit on the low. Most of us don't want our business out there when it comes to that shit. So some of you guys are literally just like in a situation with somebody where you're like, I don't know how to get out of this without maybe more consequences. Like, how am I supposed to pay the bills? How am I supposed to anything? You know, what are they going to say? Are they going to say it's my fault? This person probably in the room sits there and tells you, you know, things like, you'll never get the kids, you'll never have a place. You know, that's the kind of stuff that they do. And then months go by and next thing you know, it's getting worse. And basically what happens is really no much more or less that you're going to have more trouble or less trouble, because DV is DV. One thing I can tell you is that punishment within a household doesn't become illegal as long as it's like a blood guardian of a parent. So you can actually spank kids, I'm pretty sure, as long as you're not leaving bruises and hitting them on the face. So let's just say like that none of that's happening and there's a lot of verbal abuse and shit like that. Like CPS needs the mixture of alcohol and abuse to come together unless there's bruises. So some of you seem like you're almost in a house with somebody who would be perfectly right along that line. Someone who has made you keep secrets for things that are very much so abuse. But if in the event anybody would ask, why didn't you say something sooner? That's probably where you're stopping here. Because you loved them and you thought they would change and you already know the drill. And so we end up scared to say something. Because at the end of the day, why didn't we stop them? I'll tell you a story one time that really fucked me up. I've never told anybody this story before. I don't even want to. But, you know, I'm not in relationships with people because, you know, they do stuff like that to us. But I was with somebody like this. And it was like that. It was like that for 8 years. And it got to the point where guns were getting shot off. And I was even waking up unconscious with bullets in my mouth. And I was very scared to say something because before that chapter, I was using drugs. And I was CPS involved, and I was DOC involved, and it was my first dark night of the soul. And I told my mom, and the whole family ended up turning on me and writing statements against me, and then I was a CPS case. And it went from asking for help to being in a very sorrowful, lonely situation where I just didn't trust anybody anymore. And after that, I never told anybody anything anymore. And I ended up in another relationship after that, and I kept it a secret for 8 years. And finally, my sister, I moved her up here to help her get clean. And she was the first person who witnessed that abuse at year 7, which led to a few different events. And then I finally broke up with this person. It's not easy. I thought to myself, why didn't you say anything? And why didn't you consider it to be DV, until year 7? I was the manager of a college too, and a teacher, and I never told anybody there either. I told my boss. I told him that I wanted to leave and that I wanted to make more money, and I needed to do so. I thought so before I left, but I didn't. Every one of those nonprofit ladies that have helped me would have helped me all along. It wasn't that I couldn't do it. Somebody taught me about codependency. And you wouldn't think of yourself as codependent when you're maybe the one doing everything for everyone. Maybe you're the one who cooks, you clean, you do the laundry, you're working, you're graduating college, you're staying clean and sober. It just wouldn't really fall into a codependency type thing. And I wasn't angry at my exes for them being in what they call the word abusive, because I've always been somebody who would be accountable for my own behavior. And there were plenty of times when I abused my ex too. I can recall several times when I pushed their button so much and they've asked me, please don't do that. Please don't do that. And I think a lot of women, being that we're very emotional, we absolutely do that. And a man, I've had to study it over the last, I started studying the male species when I was with Zeke. And Zeke is the one that was abusive. But he was also the one that I went on the most vacations with. We went on 16 camping trips the last year we were together. He was an alcoholic and he was Native, and in that 8 years that I got sober, he never did. I wasn't an alcoholic. I have a problem with meth, and we made an agreement that we would get clean, and I did and he didn't, and all of us kind of took that for 8 years, and it did change everybody. It changed a lot of people, especially your sons. Your sons will end up having anger issues, and your children will, they will get to a point where they ask you what the fuck you're doing. And they'll start to give you ultimatums, and they will say, I'm not going to come back for visits anymore because you keep dating toxic people. And you end up in fights with the other parent in the parenting plan because they want to keep the kids safe. And it is true. Some of you guys are placing yourself in one of these types of jurisdictions, and you could even be fighting with your own family and loved ones and your children because of a substance abuse addiction and also an addiction to toxic relationships. And I totally get it. It's probably the worst addiction that we've ever broke. I can at least say I don't have an addiction to men anymore. I struggle with depression a lot, more so than at least anxiety and PTSD. I've seen 3 dead bodies and dealt with 4. And it gives me a lot of PTSD a lot, and I get anger. And so I kind of keep to myself and shit. And we grew up on a farm, so we're very strong-minded people. My mom's a Karen. And she taught us, she's a Leo too, so she just has strength, and she expects it. And I've never been mad at her for that. I've always known her to be a strong woman. And from the day that I can remember her ever coming down on her asses, she'll just be dead ass about it, and she'll be like, this ain't fucking good for you, and you will quit. And with my mom, that's the end of the fucking conversation. We've never been taught, we don't see effective communication. We never learned effective communication, and I'm not angry at her for that, because in their generation, they were talked at too. You were given orders and you were following rules, and that is how we were raised. And so that obviously is a thing here within your household, more likely on both ends. I knew when Zeke would rage, he wasn't raging at me. He would black out drunk, and he would start to trip out about things that were not even a part of our relationship. he had two different elders in his life, which were his dad and stepdad, that were also very bad alcoholics and very abusive with respect to his story. But I just say these things because we need to be more vulnerable and just know that when you're in relationships with people and this abuse is going on, that's a lot of the reason why the victim is has empathy towards the abuser, because they change usually under the use of a toxin and become abusive. And you're in your 20s, you absolutely, in your 20s, in your career, they hire people in their 20s for this reason right here. They are easily manipulated. In your 20s, you have a lot of hope and faith, and that is why they actually recommend not to have children until 26 to 30. Because of this right fucking here. You have so much belief and faith and hope that whatever you're working on is going to come into fruition, that you would give up everything to do it. And then you realize that what you gave up was your innocence, and you gave up so many pieces of your heart that are broken now. But they don't need to be. Today, I am not angry at any of my exes, and we are all friends. I just called Zeke the other day and left him a message. I don't be angry at people because I believe that I am smart enough and was raised smart enough to be accountable for my own behavior. And I know that my mom, I know that she would have never wanted any of us to head down any road that we did. My dad's a meth cook, and he recently died of a fentanyl overdose. I didn't know he was on that. I haven't partied with my family since probably like '08, maybe even '07. It's been a long time. I don't personally like to party with anybody that I know. I'm a loner because of this shit right here. Just being involved in a relationship ever. My baby daddy has passed away too. He overdosed as well. And he overdosed in 15. And then at 16, I found my boss hanging at work. It's great. It shot me into another PTSD. I have had to spend a lot of alone time. Like I just, it took me a few years to stop seeing dead bodies. I've also seen my sister dead. I've seen my baby daddy dead, and I've seen my boss hanging. And so when my dad died last year, I was just like, no, I'm not gonna be the one who identifies dead. I'm not doing it. Because it's taken me a really long time to get where I am. For me, luckily, I guess, I don't tolerate cheating. That's a deal breaker for me. And Zeke and I made it 8 years, and we bought this house. And on the 5th day, he came home with a hanky on his neck. And so on the 5th day, he left. And it will be 8 years in May that I've had this house. And I have never had another person living here. I tried Edward, and it was not a good experience. So I recommend that this is what I did. How did I get out of where I was at? Well, you know what? I haven't even told you about me and James. Bro, my life has been nothing but toxic relationships. James was my karmic soulmate. You guys could be dealing with yours. Karmics are nothing but a fucking chaos. We partied all the time. We lost our jobs together. We lost our homes together. Just to be fair, I guess, he had a cousin get out of prison who was a big drug dealer, and just got kind of crazy after that. I do want to give credit to that cousin. He and his wife are clean now, and their kids are happily raised, and I don't really think that they remember them like that. So I'm happy for them. And miracles do happen. They are one of the few couples that actually went through the game and came out together. So big shout out to that. They moved to Alaska. They did relocate. That's what I think you might need to do too. Me and James were not able to be together. We broke up we were forced to break up in '08. We became pretty much like Romeo and Juliet. We got in so much trouble in our small town that they actually made it a DOC violation if we hung out. We went to jail for 30 days. On the day that I actually became a Spokane resident, it was by accident. I got arrested. and went to jail in Grant County. And I was about 5 months pregnant with Halo, hiding her in my stomach. Because remember, me and James are not supposed to be together. I couldn't hide the baby bump anymore, so I had to tell people that I was pregnant. And I was in jail. And then I went to court. And in court, they told me that I was still on probation from a previous charge, and I had another charge coming in, and so I was going to go to prison because I had violated the terms of my probation on the previous charge, which would have been, because if you go to jail and they let you out, they say, well, we'll release you today under the terms that you don't commit any more crimes, you don't get into any more trouble. But if you do, you're coming back in and you're going to serve out that 2-year sentence or whatever. I'm shitting my pants. I go back down to the jail room and I call my mom. And I had heard from the girls in jail about the Isabella House in Spokane. She said, go to the Isabella House. It's a 6-month inpatient for moms and kids. And if you go to jail and you get a lot of time, I would always recommend you see if you can get into at least a 6-month or a year-long treatment. Treatment's going to be better than going to prison any day because at least you're learning how to be a better person. And you're eating decent food and you might be able to smoke a fucking cigarette. And so my mom gets me signed up. I get in. This is the 15th treatment center now that my mom has sent me to. So I just want to give a big shout out to my mom, who's been a pain in my ass, but at the same time, she's never given up. I go back to court, and they couldn't find any evidence against me. And all the charges get dropped, bro. And instead of going to fucking prison or treatment, they're going to release me that day. So, you know me. I'm walking down to the motherfucking jail cell acting like the Roxbury. But that's when my CPS worker showed up, Mike Rollins. And I had a good CPS worker. Mike Rollins was a badass, dude. He tried to catch me so many times, but I was prepared. And I kept getting out of them catching me, and they couldn't figure it out. And they were getting so pissed. And even on the drive up here to Spokane, DOC, that is the one question they wanted to know, was how the fuck did I keep fucking getting out of my UAs? Well, how did I get out of my UAs? How did I keep passing my UAs? Well, my friend Patricia showed me a way. And I used that way every time, and it worked, and they couldn't fucking believe it. They tried to show up so many times and catch me on the side. Like, Mike doesn't even live in Spokane. He lives in Mose Lake. He would drop in, catch me, they would all catch me. I mean, you could see the scene. But somehow I was passing that UA. Anyways, that day Mike shows up, dude. And he's like, and I hadn't been released from jail yet. And I didn't say a word during that meeting. I just crossed my arms and glared at him. But he told me, you know what, Tara? I have had enough of your fucking shit, basically. And he, again, you know, here we are. Tara getting fucking released. How the fuck is this happening? I feel like God has given me just free game over a lot of things because he wanted me to make a choice. And he just couldn't believe it. He could not fucking believe that I'm about to get out of trouble again. And he tells me straight up, dude. He says, you know what? Yeah, you can get out today. But if you do, I'll be waiting for you to have that baby in the hospital. He said, I swear to God, you fuck up one more time, I'm taking Halo right from the hospital, right when you have her. So I sat there and stared at him. I already had my place up here in Spokane for that fucking treatment. And I just decided to go that day. Of course I'm not losing my daughter at the hospital. And I had an apartment, and I had everything down there. And I just handed over my cell phone, and I didn't want contact with any of my old dealers or anything. And I fucking left. Handcuffed in the backseat of a car. And I never left. I came up here and I fucking stayed. And every one of those ladies at that center guided me through. I had nothing but a baby in my stomach I was hiding. But is the most beautiful thing ever today. And she's so intelligent. And I graduated that treatment. And on the day that I left, one of the girls asked me, so are you going to go to meetings? Are you going to go to NA meetings or something? I don't know much about this treatment and any shit. So I said, no, probably not. And she's like, oh, she's like, I'm really concerned. I'd be really concerned, I'd really like it if you'd go to the meetings. So I said, sure. I mean, whatever works for you guys. I was very open-minded. So she's like, you know what, Tara? What would you say about staying up here in Spokane? She said, I'm living in a halfway house. I just said, okay. And I never didn't do what they offered me to do. So you go through the 6-month inpatient. I totally recommend the Isabella House. They're so beautiful. They were so sweet. My counselor's name was Ginger, and they just really just helped me to understand things. They're all free. Like PCAP, Parent-Child Assistance Program, is a 3-year program, and they're sweetest ladies ever. Heather Cantamessa, they drove me to all my appointments. They brought me diapers. After you go through the halfway house and you can prove that you will follow the rules, there's another organization available. And this isn't for all areas. You have to look within your jurisdictions, your communities. But in Spokane, I call it the city of resources. And there's nothing that they won't help you through here, especially things like this. And they're so kind. And they're non-affiliated with CPS. And it's such a relief because you actually have somebody in your life that you can tell the truth to. PCAP is the only group of women that actually fight for you and your family. And they allow your boyfriend and your girlfriend to be a part of each other's life, where a lot of the other places don't. You go telling somebody that you and your man or woman got in a fight, now you got a fucking restraining order in a DV case. And you got to double your money for rent. It's not helpful. It's really, it's stressful for everybody. Seems like when you ask for help, you end up with a lot more to do after that, and a lot of depression. You end up with a lot of problems. More problems than just fucking fighting with your partner, who you're used to fighting with. Fighting ain't nothing new for you. You were just hoping they would get better, but that's your normal. So now you're just shit, People don't get that. They think that by removing the person that people say is a problem makes it better. How does that make it better? The bills still got to get paid. The people are still fucked up. Now you got shit on record. It can get real stressful fast. But I passed through everything and did all my counseling and did my parenting classes. And then I ended up with this organization called SNAP. And SNAP housing gives you your own apartment for like $75. And I was a felon now at that point, so I couldn't use low income housing. So SNAP's different. They help felons. And it's still the same rules. You're not supposed to have boyfriends and no drugs. It's supposed to be a 2-year program. So I definitely write down SNAP and check out SNAP. I write down PCAP and check out PCAP. Those two, I felt like I could trust. The thing about the cops and CPS isn't that they're bad necessarily people. I definitely wouldn't consider them my friend, but they have to follow a policy and a procedure. And so that's why you see everything with them go question to question, answer to answer. Go lay down. Go lay down. And so what I've noticed with them is just like, dude, all you end up with at the end of their shit is a police report. So you have new opportunities coming. SNAP will help you with your housing. I don't know where you are, but what you need to do if you're in these situations is just go with the flow. You need to go with the flow of new opportunities. You need to start to declutter your life. And it says that you're taking a glimpse at a magical doorway. And so I imagine that would be out of the life that you're already in right now. I want you to know that there's nothing wrong with you or your person. And that's why I want to start nonprofit organizations so that we can have more foundations with more money because Snap can't do it all. And that's why I call our group the Villain Bloods because, and that's exactly why you're going through this right now. It's because you're both great people. Nobody's bad because they struggle with addiction. Nobody's bad because they're even abusive. Everybody in their heart, in some way, wants a good life. And so that's what we really need to focus on here is how can we help everybody achieve those goals? Nobody that has a good heart wants to leave anybody behind, even if they were mean to them. And so I'm just picking up this real sad energy of somebody who loves somebody and they don't know how to let them go. And don't feel bad for that ever. You're a good person, and I would never want you to stop loving your people. You're right. We do need to help them. We need to help everybody. And so you are a good person doing the right things. But maybe I could be an example to you to at least know that you also deserve respect. And if anyone is hurting your feelings or being mean to you and making you cry, the peace that you're going to have in your life from removing them is better. It's better than having them around, sweetie. I know how that person acts when they're mean to you. Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, right, bro. You know what? You can still love somebody and still fucking actually make it and do just fine. Nobody that was rude to me, and I'm not even happy that they're not doing better, but they're not. They never did learn how to stop being the way that they were. And this person will come closer to you than anybody, but that doesn't mean that you don't. This chapter is a lesson for you to really just be okay. I think this message is just that you're still a good person because you love people that do these type of things. It does not make you a bad person to still love somebody and want the best for them, even if they've hurt you. That makes you a good person. You're a beautiful person. You are, you know what, I'm hearing advocate. You're going to end up being an advocate for other women and men out there who are going through this. You are such an advocate for people that have went through abuse. You're a sweet person, and you have a way of saying things where people can actually trust you and open up. They're not here to gather information from you. They're not here to use it against you, blackmail you. They're here to actually just let you know that they aren't the same. No blackmail zone. Because you know why they can't blackmail you? Because you're telling your own story yourself. And that's why I make this channel. I was tired of living in secret. It's so heavy. And you live in shame. And you're like, why am I ashamed? You know, you should never be ashamed. We fear trouble by the law. Yes, we have to keep it a secret during the time that we're involved. And so you need to ask yourself, how long are you willing to keep this secret? Because as long as you have secrets, you live in fear that somebody is going to blackmail you. And that is what I didn't want to do anymore. I wanted to be free of all of the abuse. And I also felt like when people were saying, get better, I didn't know what to do. And that's where we needed to have advocates in our life to sit down and work through each step properly. You didn't know how to process what was going on in your life. And you can't thrive in an environment where you're afraid. You were fearful of what you were going to do. You were fearful of, they were emotionally blackmailing you. They were bringing you down. They were mentally mind-fucking you. These people, purposely. They know what they were doing. They know what they were doing. Yeah, you have true love, dude. You have true love. You have women and men who invest in themselves to go further. You have the Empress here. You have the star and fucking strength. Are you kidding me? That's all good. Bro, you're a beast. You went through some of the hardest times ever and came out still loving every single person who ever did the worst things, not just to you, but ever to anybody in the world has ever went through. You hold empathy and your heart is pure. And God would never want us to change that. He would never want us to become angry or bitter or hateful or determine somebody less than, even if they did anything. He says, I'm going to send you into this war zone because you are capable of actually handling it. And anybody who knows about a light worker or a fallen angel knows there's only 144,000 of them. And so when people don't understand why you're the way that you are in a world of billions, then that 144 would make sense. So you're not somebody that even tells people a lot about what you know or who you are, or the depths of you. I don't think you really understood. I think you thought maybe you were intelligent and you knew all along you deserved respect, but I don't think you really knew your purpose. And your purpose is to help other people who maybe have felt so small and not really understood why they had to go through something like that. It's to help other people. Because you're a sweetheart. You're not one of those people that's coming at people saying, you need to get better. Fuck that guy. You guys don't even know what love is. When it's probably going to be the most powerful love that you've ever experienced, being that if they knew anything about mental health, they would know that the body doesn't register things off of words and what love is and definitions. It actually registers things off of elevation and depression. So your highs and lows, and you can be in the whatever damn straight. This is going to be your most powerful love. How can it not? The fights you guys have went through, the nights you guys have went through, that's power. That depression was power. That fear that you guys were in was power. Those nights when maybe you were fucking straight partying, almost overdose, fucking when you seen those fucking gunshots, whatever it was, fucking everybody else see. When they didn't come home for fucking days, when you didn't know how you were going to pay your rent, when you live in fear like that, that is a fucking elevation. It doesn't matter about love. Love is a definition. The body registers shit off of the increase or decrease of the intensity of the emotion. You gotta stop thinking about this person. Says that it's time for you two to make peace with a disagreement. You've wasted a lot of energy on this battle, and it's clear that you're never going to see eye to eye. It's time that you shake hands and agree to disagree. Says that you've been selling yourself short. Suggests that you may be undervaluing your time and skills. Make sure you're getting the compensation you deserve. What you have to offer is important and valuable. Says in the future, if you can do this, it indicates major opportunities to show off your creative. Says that this is a great time to start brainstorming. You're feeling inspired and full of ideas. You need to pursue creative projects with positivity and enthusiasm. Your potential is limitless. So get on there and look at your resources. Says you have a long path ahead of you. You are working hard to set yourself up for success. It advises you to make decisions with long-term in mind. Careful planning now will lead to great rewards in the future. Dreaming can be a powerful act of manifestation. So let yourself daydream a little bit. What adventures do you want to go on? Where do you want them to take you? Visualize your life happy, and then take your steps to bring that vision into life. Yep. It's okay. what you went through is really, that's why they say, you're going to have a long journey ahead. You will. But I started this single journey in December of 2019 with a goal that I had set many times of trying to at least make it 1 year to be single. I was with my son's dad for 5 years and my daughter's dad for 5 years. And then I only had about 9 months single. Hazel. And I met Zeke. And I was with him for 8 years. And then I only maybe made it like 4 months. And I dated Lawrence and Edward and tried to Chris Dempsey. And I was like, fuck my life, dude. This is nuts. And actually my kids, again, they were like, dude, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Your boyfriends are stupid. And so they were like, no more. No more for a little bit. And I just ain't had one since. And so actually I learned how to do all this shit and pay the bills. And I live in peace now. Sometimes those guys show up and they look ridiculous to me. And they're like, yeah, that's what I fucking said. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so fucking glad I don't have to fucking deal with this shit. I couldn't even imagine. I live in peace every day. I can go to bed whenever I want. And I'm not gonna lie, I never think about having a boyfriend. The only time I want a boyfriend is about 11:30 when I could use a little freaking head, and then I go to bed. And then I don't want them to tell me to come to bed too. Because then what? I can't vlog and they're gonna be like, oh yeah. And you're like, oh my gosh, shut up. So things will get better for you. Take some of that stuff there. I'm gonna go paint. And I love you. I'll see you soon.